Hey disc golfers, welcome to episode 9 of Caddy Chat with Jake and Josh. We're excited to have you back on this next episode. Josh, what's on the docket for today?
Yeah, today we're going to talk about some more sponsorship moves that we've seen, and including one very near and dear to our hearts. We're going to go through the Leprechaun Hollows schedule of events for the year, all the tournaments and league sign up, etc. And then we've got a tip of the month that we're going to talk about for a little while. And tourney talk. This week we're going to talk about the morning of the event.
Yes. A lot to do the morning of the event. You don't just
busy
show
day.
up.
Some people do.
Some people do.
But you
The players do.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah.
All right, so before we jump into the sponsorship tracker, we did have a couple updates. We do want to thank you guys for all the engagement last week, sharing, commenting.
Great comments.
On our top 10 moments of 2022 in Michigan. We had a lot of good feedback from that. So we're going to use that, positively to help ourselves out and help you guys as we provide you with some content. So, as always, just like this episode, we love your engagement. So please comment, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. And let's grow this subscriber base so that more people can enjoy it as well.
Yes, please.
All right, sponsorship tracker. We had some movement on the international level.
Yeah, we did.
Over the past week. Last week we announced Thomas Gilbert went to Thought Space Athletics, and the same company made another signing.
Yes, it was
your good friend. Yes.
Maria Oliva went to Thought Space Athletics.
How long was that deal?
Is that 1-year contract? Okay. So she's going to try him out, and they're going to try her out and see if it's a good match.
Approve it deal.
Yeah. And Thought Space seems to be on the move. They've got a couple of those happening this year.
Yep.
Who did we talk about last week?
Gilbert
moving to Thought Space.
Yeah. So another smaller company on the rise. Even more so is Lone Star Disc, and they made another splash. Well, another series of splashes this week.
Yes, some dear friends of the show.
Who'd they bring in?
AJ, Carey, and Deanne.
So congrats
to Lone Star.
Congrats to the Careys.
Yep, and those are each a 1 year as well. Yep.
And Emerson Keith is with Lone Star now.
Yes.
So, they're bringing in, the Careys are up-and-comers, but Emerson Keith is a household name.
Yeah.
He's challenged at Worlds the last couple of years and made a name for himself playing for Latitude the past couple seasons. So we'll see what Lone Star does this year.
Yeah.
But, it's
a good start.
Yeah. They're making a lot of signings on the big stage as well as the small stage.
Yep. They're putting together a good team.
Yeah. So
good team of good people.
Yeah. So good luck to them.
Yeah.
We'll see how it works out.
Yeah. And then we also talked about what we thought could have been a bit of an Innova exodus this year.
Yeah.
There seemed to be a lot of people moving, but there were a couple of deals made in the last couple of weeks that prove that they've still got the star power.
Yeah, we kind of got on them a little bit last week, especially.
That's probably what got them moving.
Yeah, exactly. It was us. They listened to Caddy Chat just like all you guys, and they said, we better sign some names.
Yeah. So they just gave the big dog a 5-year extension, Calvin Heimberg. 5 more years.
Calvin is locked up, and that's a big one for him.
It's huge.
It guarantees them a top 4 or 5 player in the world.
Yep.
Regardless of time of year, he's not streaky by any means. He balls out all year round on all types of courses.
For real.
And they obviously know that, so they've got their top guy. And then the other thing we were talking about before the show with Innova is, they've got Nate Sexton and Big Germ. And though those 2 players might not be tearing it up on the leaderboards,
they're big personalities.
They're huge personalities, and they are prominent every single week on commentary and behind-the-scenes stuff with Jomez and all the Pro Tour commentary that Sexton has done as well. So, you don't have to be a player to be moving plastic, and those 2 bring plenty of attention to Innova without even performing well.
Yeah, and just to really quick go through the rest of the list of people who got extensions from Innova this year. Owen Scoggins, Joel Freeman, Jennifer Allen, Evelina Solonen, Garrett Girthy, Henna Bloomrose, Haley King, Kat Murch, So they all got extended. And then several more. But, I mean, already you could see, I mean, they've still got their...
And the thing to point out from the list you just read was the FPO.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got Evelina, Jen Allen, who doesn't play as much anymore.
Sure.
Because she's a little bit older now, but she can still chuck the snot out of the disc.
She can.
She's very good.
Yes.
Henna, Kat Murch.
Yeah.
I mean, Haley King.
A lot of lead card players.
Yes. Top of FPO field.
Yes.
So Innova, we got on them for having a mass exodus, but they're loaded, especially on the FPO side.
They are.
I mean, I wouldn't pick against them every week.
Right.
Like,
no, they're bound.
You look at that list. One of them's at least one of them's gonna win a pro tour this year.
Yeah, and I think at least one of them could be on a podium every single week.
Yeah, that's not far fetched at all.
For sure.
That can be
some good players.
That can be our bold prediction for this year. Maybe we do that in the next couple of weeks before the season starts.
Okay.
Bold predictions for 2023.
Innova
does not miss the podium in FPO.
I like it.
On the pro tour.
All right, we'll talk about it. Maybe we'll do that next week.
I'm looking forward to it. All right, moving on.
I like being bold.
Some more sponsorship news on the local level. Those who are watching from around the country probably don't give a rip, but
they might.
They might.
It's a big name moving around.
That's true. So yours truly, Mr. Jake, is moving to Great Lakes Disc this year.
All right.
Turn the mug around. Claps.
Congratulations, Jake.
Great Lakes Disc here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Thanks to Shay and Brian for bringing me in. I'm excited to work with you guys, and we've got 10% off with code LEPI. So if you're looking to pick up some plastic anywhere in the country,
you got a nice custom code, huh?
Yeah, custom code. They ship anywhere in the country, obviously. So if you're sitting somewhere in California watching us and you want to pick up some plastic to support from Great Lakes Disc, please do use code LEPI at checkout for 10% off. And they do a great job with their shipping department. So that'll be out in the mail very quickly for you, and you'll have it at your doorstep before you know it. And their selection is fantastic.
They have a good selection.
And we were just talking about Lone Star Discs. They just put in their order there. I don't know if the shipment is in yet, but it should be soon.
Are we spelling LEPI Leppy?
Leppy.
Just in case somebody doesn't know.
We'll throw a graphic down below for you guys.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Just so you know, and then we'll throw a link in the description to greatlakesdisc.com if you have not been there before.
And they just expanded this past year.
Yeah.
About 4 times the space, probably 5 times maybe.
They're growing.
It's huge. It's a huge new addition to the building.
And they are big sponsors of national stars, Andrew Marweed and Kyle Klein. So
yes,
some more name dropping for you.
Sure.
Yeah, so that's the announcement for today. We'll have more announcements for more people coming up next week.
Yeah, we'll tease at the end of the show maybe about that.
We'll dive a little bit deeper a little bit later.
Yeah.
All right, on the Leprechaun Hollows tangent, we've got the 2023 event schedule for our Michigan people. And
please tell me there's trips.
There's trips. We'll get there.
Sorry.
We've had people come up from Indiana as well, so
yeah,
whole Midwest, I guess.
It's a great course to play, and there aren't a whole lot of opportunities to play it, so I'm not surprised people come from far and wide when it's open.
Yeah, and we appreciate all you guys coming. So, Leprechaun Hollows, our local course, obviously the host of this podcast, really, the Leprechaun Hollows channel. First tournament, we've talked about it a couple times already on the show, but the West Coast Cup, a joint effort between Leprechaun Hollows, Windstrom, and Shore Acres here in Holland, Michigan.
Yes.
That is April 1 and 2. Like we've said before, we are plenty excited for that. And, go sign up. That is live. And that's
not a joke. We will be there April 1st.
Yes, that's true. That is not April Fool's. We will actually be there in person, ready to run.
April Fool is the one who doesn't show up for the tournament.
We'll be there ready to run the tournament. Sign up now. Yes, please. It's live on Disc Golf Scene. We'd love to see you. We've already got a couple people signed up. They're excited. We hope you are too. All right, next, after that, just 2 weeks later, we've got the Flex Start kickoff at Leprechaun Hollows. That's kind of where we launched the league season. You can pick up your player packs if you're a league member, but you can also get in a sanctioned round on the course that, like you said, you don't get to play it very much during the year. You got 6 tournaments and you've got league, and that's the only time you get to get out there. So yeah, if you want to check out the course for cheap, I think that buy-in's like $20 or something like that. Get you a sanctioned round and a fun time with some friends on a great private course. Yeah. April 15. Go ahead and go sign up for that. That sign up is live, I believe, February 1st. Okay. So that's coming up, but you can mark your calendar for that. And then, like we said, that kind of kicks off the league season. So 5 days later, on April 20, Leprechaun Hollows League starts, and that'll run for 21 weeks every Thursday.
Starting on 4/20.
Starting on 4/20. Yes, that is true. Yeah, a little disc golf holiday, I guess, right?
Good day for a league round.
Great day for a league round. But that runs every Thursday all the way to September, and space is limited for that. So if you want a spot and you are not a returning member, you might want to hit up the people in charge, because there's only 8 or 10 spots open every year, because everybody wants to return, and we've got a limited cap on that league. So we'd love to have you out there. The next big event, which comes with a sponsorship announcement as well, the Skins Match on July 24.
Okay.
And we've brought in Kyle Klein in the past, Andrew Marweed, Reed Friskira, Trevor Harbolt, Clint Calvin. Some big names, some up-and-coming names.
Reed's my favorite.
Yeah.
Do we know who we're going to have this year yet?
We don't know who's coming in yet. We will surprise you and tell you on the show as we lock those deals in.
All right.
So we won't make any official announcements on that yet. But the Skins Match, July 24. We'll have tickets that go on sale in the spring. So if you want to come spectate, those will run about $10. But we're really excited for that. And the big news with the Skins Match is that Great Lakes Disc might be sponsoring me, but they're also sponsoring the Skins Match this year.
In its entirety?
Yeah, so they are the presenting sponsor of the Skins Match. We are really excited and thankful that they've agreed to come on board and and partner with us to run a great event. And
one thing, just real quick, that Skins Match, you usually try to schedule that around River City Open, right? Which is our big A tier here in West Michigan that Great Lakes runs.
Yep.
So if you're a pro out there and you're just dying to be on the Skins, I think one of your best chances is to sign up for River City Open.
Yeah, and it's right. It's smushed. The Skins Match is on a Monday. It's smushed right between the CCR Open in Lansing and the River City Open in Grand Rapids. So if you're in the area, you're doing the Michigan swing of the tour.
Yeah, and it's right around that D-Glow time too. So you might be up here anyway, getting ready to warm up for that, right?
Yeah. So sign up for those events. Absolutely. Great, well-run A-tiers in the area.
Yeah. On some great courses.
And the Skins Match is right in between those. So we're excited about that. Next up, August 12th, the Pot of Gold Doubles. That is our 10th edition of that tournament. We have made it 10 years. That's our kind of our highlight event that we hang our hat on. That's gone very well for a decade now, and it fills up every single year. So
it's a fun course for dubs.
Absolutely. Always a good time for Pot of Gold Doubles. That's August 12th. And then the final one you were asking about it, Josh, Leppy Trips. We tried it out last year. Best shot triples event. Bring your own partners. Fun. It filled up, and it went very well.
It did. It went smoothly. You know, you're always a little worried because now you got 6 guys on a card, 6 people on a card, because it's 3v3. But it really went smooth. There weren't a lot of backups. Things moved along. It didn't take all day. And what a fun tournament that was. I really enjoyed it.
So that'll be September 16th. So all those events, you can find them on Disc Golf Scene. Registration isn't open yet for all of them, but the registration dates are listed. So mark your calendars for those events and pay attention to the registration dates, and we'd love to see all you guys signed up and out there.
Yeah, mark your calendars.
All right, next up, some more interesting topics for those of you who are not in West Michigan. Tip of the month. Josh, what's today's or this month's tip of the month?
Wind. We're going to talk about knowing your wind. I think there's some misconceptions out there about wind play. And there's also just some fundamentals that it's always good to be reminded of when you're going out to play on a windy day. And I know we don't live in Kansas or anything, but West Michigan, right off the shore of Lake Michigan, is pretty steadily windy throughout the year.
And the nice thing about talking about wind, once you understand the wind, it's applicable anywhere in the world.
Yes.
So just because we have certain wind that's more common here in West Michigan doesn't mean that the same rules and thoughts don't apply to
Michigan wind reacts the same way as Nevada wind.
Yes. So what's your first thought on knowing the wind? What goes into this tip of the month?
So for me, one of the things I always try to remind myself of, just again, the basic understanding of wind is whatever side of the disc the wind hits, it's going to get pushed in that direction. Mm-hmm. So it can get very complex, but just on a very basic level, if you've got a right to left wind and you're throwing a right-handed backhand shot and you put anhyzer on it, that right to left wind's going to push that disc down to the ground. If you put hyzer on it, it's going to lift it up into the air. And so one of the things I see some people do is trying to get a full flight out of a disc in a crosswind, and the disc is trying to do too many things at once, and it's extremely unreliable.
Because if you're trying to get max distance, no wind, you're throwing some sort of hyzer flip, or you're throwing a giant anhyzer with something overstable.
That's going to come back.
That comes back.
But
with your point, what the wind is doing and pushing on the exposed side of the disc, like you said, that changes everything, because the disc in that full flight has multiple angles.
Yes.
And multiple points of the plate exposed to the wind.
Correct. Yeah, so I've always found in a crosswind, it's better to throw something that's not going to have more than one angle in its flight. Either throwing something that's going to stay on anhyzer the whole time, or throw something that's going to stay on hyzer the whole time, or throw it flat and straight. Because, trying to overcomplicate and make that more complex of how the wind is going to affect your disc is just going to make it really difficult to control.
And the one thing we were talking about before the show that I had said was I've seen several amateurs and new players to the sport mostly not understand the wind, in the sense that the faster the wind comes, newer players seem to think, maybe associating it with like a light and heavy object almost. So, if you have, what's something small and light that I want to say a feather, but that's a bad example. What's something
a golf ball?
Heavier?
I'm not sure.
Anyway, sure. A golf ball, tennis ball, something like that. All right. If you throw it into the wind, it's going to move. But the wind's going to, a tennis ball especially, the wind's going to push it a little bit, right? Because it's got air and it's pretty light. Yeah. If you throw a rock, right, the size of a softball, but a rock, it's going to continue and it's going to be less affected by the wind. Yeah. And I think a lot of newer players associate the same thing with discs. So they go, oh, I need my heavy wide rim driver when it's ripping at me 25 miles an hour. I need the max weight thing to push through and be more predictable and cut, which in a way, right, the more overstable disc is going to fight the wind better. So that is correct. But distance-wise, that is not even close to correct.
Yeah, and it's not because of the weight. It's because of the stability of the disc that it's cutting through the wind better. Or at least seeming to cut through the wind better. Yeah. So, but you're saying, and you did say before the show, that you think lighter discs are effective in the wind.
I do.
Yeah. Why is that?
There's science behind it.
Science, that's why. Trust the science.
Science is the answer to everything. No, but the lighter weight disc if thrown correctly, like you've been saying, if the correct part of the flight plate is exposed and you are predicting the wind correctly up against the flight of your disc, your lightweight one is going to carry farther because it's not going to fight to the ground as fast.
Gotcha.
Because the wind is, in that situation, holding it up.
That makes sense.
Where it can push forward. So, yes, I do think lightweight discs go farther in the wind. However, it's not necessarily as intelligent to throw because it can be more easily manipulated by the wind.
Yeah.
As we just talked about, the heavier object's going to fight harder.
Yeah. Throw something light and she gone.
Yeah. If you expose the wrong part of the flight plate on a light, like a Blizzard Champion disc, for example, that thing's taken off. And it's going a long, long way the wrong direction.
Yeah. That's really the key, is making sure it goes in the right direction.
Yeah. No, yeah. And I think, honestly, if you had to summarize know the wind for this tip of the month, it would be use your intelligence, grab the disc that is consistent and overstable, and will get you going the correct direction. Because all of what we said combined, if you choose the wrong disc and you put the wrong disc at the wrong angle, you're going to be in a world of hurt if the wind is actually powerful.
Yeah. And I think in general, unless you've got a really heavy tailwind, whether it's a crosswind from the left, from the right, or a headwind, throwing something understable in any wind is a top tier move. Like, being able to control that is not something that 95% of players are going to be able to do. It's probably going to be the wrong decision.
Now, as far as
probably should stable up unless it's a tailwind.
Unless you are Paul Macbeth or Ricky Wysocki.
Or maybe Josh Wood.
Maybe Josh Wood on a good day. You should be smart rather than try and control the wind.
Yeah.
Just let it happen.
Yep.
As far as wind direction goes, that plays a part in how discs react. Putters especially.
Yeah.
Right? Shorter range shots where you're not throwing the disc as hard. Headwind, what's generally what happens?
On the drives we're talking, not the putts?
We'll talk about putts because it's more evident.
With the putts, a headwind is going to lift your disc up, and a tailwind is going to knock your disc down. Now I'm at this weird place with myself in my counseling of myself through my disc golf journey, where I'm trying to remind myself to not overcompensate for left and right wind on putting greens, because I feel like I always overdo it trying to read the wind.
Yep.
So I try not to pay attention too much to left or right wind. Generally, you're not going to end up aiming, like if you normally aim at the pole and you've got a right to left wind, unless it's 80 mile an hour wind, like you're only going a few chains over to compensate for that, and you might not even need to do that.
Yep. But the
headwind is going to very quickly affect your disc and get it to rise up, and the tailwind is going to knock it down. So those are the two that you really have to pay attention to on the green, in my opinion. And that's generally because most of us, without thinking about it, putt nose up.
And that's the other part of that, because if you somehow are one of the few kind of nose down putters,
like Ricky used to do,
just jam everything in hard, the disc is slanted toward the ground ever so slightly,
then everything's
flipped. Yeah. So the headwind is now exposed to the front of the disc, and it's pushing it down, so that disc will drop.
Yeah.
And the tailwind will lift it up.
But unless you're one of those anomalies, chances are you throw it nose up.
So slightly. Even if you think you throw it flat, you probably throw it slightly up.
It's not this exaggerated, but even this little bit, again, that wind's going to get under the flight plate and lift it up. And the tailwind's going to come in and knock it down.
So there you go. That's your tip of the month. Know the wind. Understand the wind.
And know your wind.
That too. In Kansas, you're going to have more wind. That's just a fact of life. And you'll learn to deal with it. Just like north of us in Ludington. They just have more wind.
A little bit. But I noticed this year, I paid attention this year to just about every league round I played. Mm-hmm. And the wind was a pretty consistent 15 to 20 miles an hour all year this year.
Yeah.
Just about every day. this last week that we've had post blizzard has been rare.
Yeah,
and unusual in the fact that we don't have any wind.
It's true.
Which made it a great day to play some disc golf.
Get out and play.
Yeah.
No snow, get out and play.
No snow, no wind. Go get some.
All right, tourney talk.
Step 6 to running a tournament. The morning of. So.
What are we doing? We wake up and...
Registration opens at 8 o'clock.
We roll out of bed and that's it?
Never.
No, there's a ton of work that goes in the morning of the tournament. We've been prepping this whole time for months.
Yep.
We've got all our player packs ordered.
Yep.
We've got them stacked up, ready to go.
This past week, we marked all our OBs.
The course,
made sure the course was clean.
Course is in tip-top shape.
The circles painted.
We're ready to go on the course side. Hopefully, the day before, 2 days before, if we need tables or feather banners or flags flying or or a tent that we got those up, or at least set where they need to go so they can quickly be put in place, so that we roll up the morning of. And what's the first thing we're doing morning of?
Oh man!
When we arrive, well, first off, get there early. Yeah. Get there early. If your registration opens at 8, you better be there. 6:30?
Yeah.
At the latest?
Yeah.
Hour and a half early at the latest?
For sure. Because the first thing I'm doing is I'm setting up the table.
Yep.
I'm getting out wherever it is, the pavilion, the tent that we set up, whatever it is, I'm setting up the table, making sure everything's ready to go for registration, for player packs, so that everybody's got a nice, easy flow when they get there. If I'm running the tournament by myself, I'm probably going to get there a little earlier than that even, and I'm going to walk the course at least once and just make sure trashes are emptied, trash is picked up, the place looks nice.
There wasn't a big branch that came down.
Yep.
Something like that.
Super important, right. Might need to call somebody to come take care of that at the last minute.
The last thing you want is 3 holes into the tournament, someone comes hauling up to the check-in table where you're chilling, thinking everything's running smooth, and says, there's a tree down on hole 3's tee pad.
And it's unplayable.
Yeah, what do you want us to do? Well, yeah, you could have avoided that by walking the course because you could have just marked a new tee pad in that case. Mm-hmm. So, walk the course. Very, very highly recommended.
Yep. Highly recommended to have 2 or 3 people with you. Mm-hmm. Somebody can go walk the course while you set up the table. You want to make sure you've got your player list out so you can be marking people off when they're coming in. Make sure you got a cooler of water. Again, you probably have a merch desk somewhere or a merch table that you want to set up. Make sure you got all your sponsor banners out. That's probably something you're going to do the morning of, is to go to the holes, and if you've got T signs for sponsors, you're going to want to get them out the morning of.
CTP flags.
CTP flags you need to get out. Yep. So that guy that you just sent to go walk the course has some stuff to do.
Yeah.
He's not just taking a stroll.
He's not just walking the course for a morning stroll, and just looking at everything. He's setting things up as he's walking. So it's not like you're wasting 45-minute trip to walk the course in the morning. Right? Mm-hmm. You're bringing stuff out there. You're getting stuff done in the process, as far as T signs and sponsorship stuff goes. So that's important. Kills multiple birds with one trip around the course. Mm-hmm. You had mentioned the player check-in stuff. So you got to be organized there, right? You've got everything printed off paper-wise, as far as who's playing. You've got ace pool signups, that kind of a thing. You've got that all printed off the day before. But if you just have it a random stack of papers in your hand as people are walking up to register, and you're fumbling through your papers, and that's a bad look, first of all. Second of all, it's going to stress you out.
And it's going to take forever.
And third of all, it's going to take forever.
Yeah, be organized.
So have it all laid out, have it ready to go. Like Josh said, it's helpful to have another person at the check-in table with you, so that they can do one part, you can do the player packs, or vice versa. Yeah. Just to expedite the process as much as possible, because a lot of you'll get your early crowd that shows up right as check-in opens. And then you'll get a medium crowd right in the middle of check-in. And
then 90% of people show up.
Then you'll get the big chunk right toward the end.
Yeah.
And you got to have everything in a row ready to go because you want to start your tournament on time. And that's the next part of the morning of. You have a set time of check-in runs, and you have maybe a player meeting, and then you have tee off. And everybody's expecting to tee off at that time.
Yeah.
Their whole day is based off of that.
Yep.
Your whole day is based off of that.
For sure.
So if you don't have your check-in table in order and you're flying by the seat of your pants registering people in an unorganized fashion, slows everything down and ultimately runs into your tee time.
Yeah. And you're going to be there till 8 o'clock that night.
And yeah, you're in a bad situation.
Yeah, for sure. One thing we didn't talk about either leading up to this day is knowing what kind of a network signal you've got on that course.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not you're going to be able to use your cell phone or have some sort of a Wi-Fi hotspot for your laptop. And maybe we'll talk about this next week this is in the morning of now, maybe mid-afternoon. Here's what you're doing in between rounds. But you're going to want to have a computer with some internet access to make sure the scorecards are set and ready to go and there aren't any last-minute changes. Because trying to do that on your phone
That's true.
at the course is a huge pain in the butt. I had to do this once during a tournament.
I did too.
I had to sit there on my phone for 45 minutes in between rounds, sorting through scorecards and making sure everything was good to go for the second round.
Yeah, a computer makes life a heck of a lot easier.
Yes. So know your signal.
Yeah, know your signal.
Know your network.
Absolutely. That's very important and undervalued until you get there and you think, oh, well, this would have been nice to know. So now you know.
Now you know.
Anything else, Josh, morning of, before tee off, that we need to get done?
I do find it helpful, even if it's just on a note card, to have some notes down for what I'm going to say to the players for a player meeting.
That's a great recommendation.
Trying to do that off the cuff is you're going to forget something.
Especially
so make
sponsors.
Sure you're thanking your sponsors, number one. And make sure you're explaining how the day is going to go for everybody. But write those things down. And maybe before you run this first tournament, go to a couple of tournaments and take some notes and pay attention to what other tournament directors are saying before the tournament. And put that in your template for your player meeting announcements.
And you don't need to be a efficient public speaker to read off a sheet. Like people are showing up to a public player meeting just listening for any special OB rules or tournament specific information. They don't care if you're reading directly off your sheet.
Right.
As long as you're projecting your voice and you thank them for being there and you sound excited for the event, they don't give her a rip if you don't even look at them.
They don't expect you to have it memorized.
No, they're there to ask a question or two if they have one, and that's about it.
Yeah.
So
I don't think I have anything to add to you.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because have
some notes.
Have a list with things you're going to say. That's important. Then you don't forget anybody, because forgetting a sponsor, I've been at tournaments where tournament directors have forgot to say a sponsor before, and that's just awkward, especially when that sponsor has somebody in the tournament field playing and they're sitting there and there's just crickets and they're not real pleased.
Yeah.
That they just donated, $150 worth of merchandise or whatever they did, and they were promised a shout out and they got nothing.
Yeah, not cool, man.
No.
Not cool.
So don't be that guy or girl.
Yeah.
All right, that wraps up today's episode. What do we got coming up next week, Josh?
Next week's going to be exciting. It's going to be one of my favorite weeks. First of all, if you're coming out to Winter Winnie this weekend, I think we're going to be playing 24 holes. We got the alts out there, so.
And it should be another snowless.
Yeah, windless-ish. Yeah, the wind should be below 10.
The snowless part is
fantastic.
Key.
Yeah.
That is key for me.
But I mean, it's winter.
It might
golf,
actually generate an appearance from me, Josh.
Again. You were there this week.
2 in a row.
Yeah, and you got a CTP.
I did.
What hole?
Because there was no snow.
That's not why.
Well, guess which hole? Which hole do I have an advantage on? There you go.
Hole 1. That Brand almost had it, though.
Yeah.
Brand had a pretty good shot.
Brand can't match the ESP nuke.
He probably threw a nuke. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, I'm sorry. Next week, though, after Winter League, We're going to have some more attorney talk. We're going to talk more about the player meeting and all the way through to payouts and awards. So we're going to get through the whole day, right?
Yep, the whole tournament.
And then we have a very special, well, first we have a disc of the month too. We're not going to tell you what that is yet, but we'll have some, we'll have a special
But
disc.
it's a smaller brand and probably a disc you haven't necessarily thrown, but we recommend you try out.
You might not have even heard of it. Yeah. So I'm excited about that one. We're going to have some video of us throwing it and comparing it to some other discs.
Yep.
And then we have another very special sponsorship announcement, an exclusive announcement of sponsorship for the 2023 season with the one and only, the incomparable, my friend, Reed Frescura.
We're very excited.
I am. I'm super excited.
We had Vanessa on a month ago
That's right.
to release her exclusive sponsorship news for 2023, and Reed is going to do the same thing for us.
Mm-hmm.
And make it exclusive to Caddy Chat. So we're honored and we're excited.
Yes. Yeah, I'm excited.
So, like we say every week, like, subscribe, comment, share. Get this podcast out. We kept it a little bit shorter this week.
We did.
To keep you guys from getting
for real this time.
Too worked up. Yeah, for real this time. We actually kept it short. No, but next week's going to be big. Last week was fantastic. Next week's going to be huge again. So we're looking forward to it, and we hope that more people can enjoy it like you guys have been. So
yeah. We'll see you next week. And until then, keep your head in the game.